Hey folks, high and low here. Doing a quick knife review on the Sanrenmu 7056. This is I believe it's the gray version. Could be the black version. I'm not quite sure. It depends on what they ended up sending me. But you know, you can see sort of what it's an homage to. Very similar to the Kershaw Cryo, and in a lot of ways here. Overall, very impressed with these knives. Let me go ahead and close these so I don't nick myself with them while I'm showing you everything. But very nice. Pretty happy with them right out of the box. Sharp enough for what I have need for. The finish was all real nice and uniform. A nice dark titanium finish on there. It's got these sort of brass, we know they're not brass, but brass colored fittings on them for the thumb stud and for the open pillars there, which is, adds a real nice aesthetic quality to it. The flipper is pretty marginal. You're not gonna be able to get it to flip open, but I just use it as an assist with the thumb stud to get it open. I don't need a real fast deploying knife, so I don't end up using a lot of the flip assists for things these days. But I think these are going for $10 to $15. I got these for both under 10, and can't complain. Nice and sharp. Real nice design. Real functional, but also kind of understated. Really nice frame lock. A nice small frame lock with the over travel bar here, so you're not worried about bending it out. It's got the T8 torque screw here for the pivot screw, as well as T6 for the scale screws. And a real simple knife. There's not a whole lot to it. I mean, you can see just about everything here. It does have bronze washers in there. So see if I can get a shot of that. Pretty nice feature for a knife of that size and cost. I don't know if you can see in there, but it's got dual bronze washers on both sides. Word of caution, if you get into doing lanyards, I would maybe keep the lanyard smaller than the knife itself. I kind of went a little overkill on this, but I haven't been able to bring myself to shorten it yet. I'll do that when I get a little bit of time. But I think it's 8CR13 MOV steel, which is serviceable steel. I really like just about everything on these knives. The only issues I've had, and I've had issues with some Chinese knives like this before, is that there's some quality control issues. And on both of these, the centering is a little, on this one in particular, the centering was way off. It's marginal right now. It doesn't rub on anything, but when I got it, it was way, way off. And I think that has to do with just the really strong frame lock on here. So I had to take the whole thing apart, which I don't like doing because I almost never get them back the right way, but and tight and everything. But I got it back together. So they both ended up having some blade centering issues. This one's not perfect either, as you can see. It's nowhere near scraping, but it had some issues. So the one I had to take apart, which I believe was this one, I got it back together just fine. Real simple design. Oiled it up a little bit. It didn't help the deployment very much, but I got that centering over enough so that it's not rubbing on anything now. It's just sort of a minor annoyance. The only other issue that I don't like about this knife is the clip. The pocket clip is kind of chintzy. It could be a little bit beefier. When I took it apart, the pocket clip is. This is the one I took apart because you can see the clip is kind of ski-jawed a little bit compared to this one. All right, so I had to bend it. Right here. These screws, if you can see in there, are really tucked up underneath there. So to get this clip off, if you do take it off, I would recommend you tape this whole portion together so the screws stay in. If the screws fall out, it's really a pain in the butt to get back together. I had to bend it back out quite a ways to get the screw to sit in there. And the screws weren't the same length, so one of them, probably can't see that, but one of them sits a little ways out there. I don't know if that was intentional by design or not, But I had the hardest part of getting this knife back together was this clip. But all in all, real happy with it. It's a real functional. It's got some functional jimping up here. It's a functional knife that actually has a lot of nice aesthetics to it. Real happy with that. Comfortable in the pocket. It sticks out a little bit when you clip it in because it clips into right about here. So, this portion is going to be sticking out. But, overall, real nice. Sharp. The blade grinding was pretty even on both sides. It wasn't perfect, but it was pretty even. For $9, I think is what I paid for them. This is a great knife. Like I said, I took it completely apart and got it completely back together. Just a set of Torx screws, T6 and T8, and it's back up nice and tight. No wiggle at all. And this is the one I took apart and back together, so no wiggling at all, front and back, left and right. I think the blade centering comes from just being a real strong frame lock here. And I couldn't bend this thing back out because of the over travel. I tried to bend it back a little bit because it engages almost all the way too far. So, you're kind of stuck with what you get there. I had actually bent it back using some pliers, but then there was some wiggle in the blade, so then I had to rebend it to what it originally was, and I ended up, fixing the centering a little bit, but that was about it. It was kind of a lot of work for just a small centering issue, but at least the blade's not scraping, so it's a little off. But these are pretty knives, and they're sharp and they work well. We all know what they're a tribute to, so don't get too upset about that. But Sanrenmu 77056. Highly recommend these knives if you can find them. They're out there for under $10, and it's a good solid all metal knife. Can't complain about that.